Well, hi everybody, and welcome to a very special video for the channel of Green Spirit. We are going to take quite a deep look at biomimicry, the science of studying how nature has designed functionality and how we can turn that knowledge into insights for better designing. Let's go. We're about to learn Biomimicry, a field guide, a brief overview of the core elements and practice of biomimicry. So, Dr. Ian McCallum, strictly speaking, there is no such thing as human nature. There is only nature and the very human expression of it. Nature, then, is not something out there. We are of it and in it. So, what is biomimicry? Bios means life, and mimic means to imitate. So, biomimicry is the practice of learning from and then emulating nature genius to solve human problems and create more sustainable solutions. Biomimicry is a design and leadership discipline that seeks sustainable solutions by emulating nature's time-tested ideas. Biomimicry is a branch of science, a problem-solving method, a sustainability ethos, a stance towards nature, and a new way of viewing and valuing biodiversity. What can we learn from nature? Through studies, articles, documentaries, or other sources, you may have accumulated a lot of knowledge about nature. Biomimicry is different in that it shifts our lens to one where we are learning from nature. This shift in the way that we think allows us to gain more insight through quieting our cleverness. By learning from nature, we gain access an entire living library. So, in other words, biomimicry is a new way of viewing and valuing nature. Biomimicry requires and inspires us to be constantly curious. On a visit to a mall, Dr. Frank Fish, biology professor and biomechanics expert, noticed a statue of a humpback whale. Seeing the tubercles or bumps on the leading edge of the whale's fin, he assumed that this was an error, as it was common knowledge that all air and water blades require smooth edges. But upon researching this observation with Lawrence Hall, a mechanical engineering professor and fluid dynamics expert, they discovered that tubercle blade designs resulted in a reduction of drag and improvement in lift, basically the holy grail of fluid dynamics. This meant that blades could move through the air more easily and with less chance of stalling. The inspired duo partnered with businessman Stephen Dewar to start Whale Power, a company that creates efficient and effective wind turbines and fans. Who practices biomimicry? Biologists, engineers, designers, businesses, almost everyone. The answer to who practices biomimicry is essentially anybody and everybody. Biomimicry can be applied to any field, from product design to urban design, from businesses to government to social innovation. It's not limited to any field. Biomimicry is both an interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary practice. It generally works best when there are a mix of skill sets. Biomimicry can be just a tool in your general toolbox, or specialized skill, or the main focus of your work. Why practice biomimicry? Organisms and ecosystems face the same challenges that we humans do, but they meet those challenges sustainably. Whatever the design challenge, the odds are high that one or more of the world's 10 million creatures has not only faced the same challenge, but has evolved well-adapted, effective strategies to solve it. Organisms and ecosystems can provide us with innovative and progressive solutions to the design, engineering, business, and innovation challenges that we now face. Energy, food production, clean water, benign chemistry, information systems, packaging, and more. The long-term vision is to create products, processes, organizations, and policies, new ways of living that are well adapted to life on Earth. So, we're seeing nature through a new lens. Nature as a model, nature as a measure, and nature as a mentor. Using nature as your model, when we emulate nature, we look to nature as a model for our designs. There are millions of species with billions of years of experience, resulting in great design models for structures, blueprints, resites that we can reverse engineer. Using nature as your measure. After 3.8 billion years of evolution, nature has learned what works, what is appropriate, and what lasts. Every organism and ecosystem contributes to nourishing life. Can this be our compass too? In biomimicry, we evaluate our designs using an ecological standard informed by nature's genius. Example, biomimicry's life's principles could be used as design benchmarks, or a genius of place review can provide ecological performance standards. Using nature as your mentor, biomimicry is a new way of viewing and valuing nature. When we look nature as our mentor, we reconnect to the genius of nature and apply biomimicry thinking at a different level. Biomimicry's life's principles could be used as aspirational ideals for our designs, or simply asking, how does nature does it? And digging deeper by asking why and how to improve understanding and enable deeper biomimicry. So now we're looking at the 3 C's of biomimicry: emulate, ethos, and reconnect. These 3 elements represent the core values and the essence of biomimicry. First C, emulate. Emulation is what we know of as the action of biomimicry. It's what we read about in case studies. The practical methodology of how to practice biomimicry, it's here. Emulation takes place on 3 different levels, which can be used independently or in combination. We'll cover these in the next section. Seed number 2, ethos. This is essentially the why of biomimicry. It is the intention and ethics behind the practice of biomimicry. It represents our respect for, responsibility to, and gratitude for our fellow species and our home planet. It comes from a deep-seated belief that humans are one of many species populating the planet, each with their own inherent right to survive, and that our survival ultimately depends on their survival. Seed number 3. Reconnect. Reconnect refers to how our human nature connection is enhanced when we explore the biology that is inherent in the practice of biomimicry. It's about going outside and discovering nature's genius and the deep connections that we have with the natural world. It can also refer to how different disciplines that don't typically work together reconnect in the practice of biomimicry. We're now looking at the 3 levels of emulation, being them form, process, and system. Emulating form. Natural forms, shapes, and patterns have evolved to be some of the most effective at achieving specific functions. When we emulate natural form, it can lead to innovative improvements in our designs that are often far more effective at achieving the desired functions. We can emulate nano, micro, meso, or macro forms with a multitude of benefits to human designs, but they may not necessarily be sustainable. Emulating the process. Nature's physical and chemical processes have evolved over eons to be well adapted and life-friendly. When we emulate these processes, we can realize innovative and life-friendly solutions to design challenges such as life-friendly chemistry, materials manufacturing at low temperature and pressure, and etc. When we combine biomimetic form with the recipes for how nature achieved these forms, we may be able to realize what we strive for in the ethos of biomimicry. Emulating system. Systems in nature include neurological systems, superorganisms, networks, nutrient cycles, ecosystems, etc. These systems have evolved over eons to be optimally effective. Learning from nature system provides insights into design of more effective and innovative systems, including information systems, energy grids, urban designs, material cycling, water management, organizations, and much more. When we apply biomimicry at a systems level, we can have a significant impact on the design of our world. Life creates conditions conducive to life. When we are able to emulate at all 3 levels, form, process, and system, we begin to learn from the deeper genius of nature to achieve well-adapted and life-friendly designs, ones that creates conditions conducive to life. This may seem like a big ambition for all designs, but when we realize that all other organisms and ecosystems on Earth achieve this, it must be achievable for our designs too. This quote sums up the essence of life principles. Organisms serve the opportunities in their habitat while respecting the limits. Managing these fits with a beguilingly simple set of common raw materials, procured locally, manufactured at body temperature and pressure, processed silently in water. At the end of their useful life, these materials are regathered and reconfigured by other organisms, upcycled again and again with the energy of the sun. The tightly knit forests, corals, tundras, and grasslands of this planet are the envy of all of us who thirst for a sustainable and equitable world. As communities, they not only create but continually heal and enhance their places, our places too. What better models could there be? The how of biomimicry. This section covers the practical tools and methodology of biomimicry. So we have here, starting with explore. We can explore to discover, explore to create. We can discover to explore, we can discover to create, we can create to evaluate, and we can evaluate to explore further again. That's the framework. Exploring, discovering, creating, and evaluating. First approach, biology to design. New products, services, or systems are designed based on inspiring natural models. This approach is appropriate when your process is initiated by an inspirational biological insight, including a life principle. Second approach, challenge to biology. An existing design challenge looks to nature for solutions. This approach is useful for scenarios where you want to address a specific problem and seek biological insights for the solution. Well, this is maybe the third approach, biology to design. So we're again at the discover, explore, and create and evaluate workflow. So, second approach, we have a challenge to biology, right? We first explore, so we identify the functions, context, and parameters of our human design challenge. Then, in the discovery, we can find natural models who match your criteria and find their strategies and mechanisms. Then, to abstract the relevant design principles from the biology findings and brainstorm ideas that could work in a challenge context. That's on creation and evaluation. We measure our ideas against life principles and revise them as necessary. Step number 1. Identify function. Function is a verb. Cactus store liquids just like a dam. Fireflies illuminate just like a light bulb. Shark skins manage bacteria just like sterile surfaces. So, we have to start with identifying function. A critical starting step in biomimicry is to establish a bridge between the biological organism or system to the human design application. The bridge we use is based on what the design or organism is doing, not what it is. There is a common language in the action of the natural model and the design, what they are doing, verb, but seldom in the name, what they are, noun. In biomimicry, we call this action the function. All functions can be described as a verb. Provide shelter, create color, caution impact, communicate, avoid collision, lubricate. So this can work in both directions: biology to design, identify the function of the organism, and then look for where we need similar functions in our designs, or challenge to biology, identify the function of our designs, and look for organisms or systems in nature that perform similar functions. Biomimicry taxonomy. It was created as a way to sort biological information according to function. A taxonomy is a classification or sorting system. Typically, biological textbooks are arranged according to species, type of biology, etc. It's difficult to search biological literature when you're searching around function. For example, if we search for how does nature filter water, we could find organisms and ecosystems from across the board of different biological texts: flamingos, bacteria, whales, wetlands, jellyfish, kidneys. So it's for this reason that the biomimics at Biomimicry Institute have created tools that sort relevant biological literature according to function. These include the Biomimicry taxonomy and a digital textbook with biomimicry strategies. So we're here looking at biomimicry taxonomy with the criteria of different groups, subgroups, and their functionality. So we have to move or stay put, we have to protect from physical harm, maintain a community, modify, make, process information, break down, get, store, or distribute resources. Yeah, I could download this. Yeah. But not now, thank you very much. Where were we? Where were we? We were here. Let's keep here. Sorry. So, number 2, define context. In which context does your function operate? Context examples: temporal, scale, distribution, industry, location, financial, manufacture, and planetary boundaries even. So, while understanding function can bring insight to the challenge, it does not guarantee that the solution will be viable. Similarly, while it broadens the solution space considerably, it can actually create a space too vast to explore reasonably. This is where context comes in. For example, almost every organism on the planet carries out the function of regulate temperature, so that opens up the solution or inspiration space to be impractically vast. However, there are far fewer natural models that regulate temperature in the same context that your design will be in. This filter helps to narrow down the list of natural models to choose from. By asking, what do I want my design to do, and under what conditions or context does it need to do this, we will begin to think differently about a design. Alright, how to discover natural models? Go outside, ask a biologist, read some biological books and journals, and you can go to asknature.org or other websites and discover natural models. So this is the phrase where you find answers to your question. How does nature function in that context? In most other design processes, some form of discovering generally follows exploring, scoping. What makes biomimicry processes different is that you include models from nature into your discovery. Then, get abstract the design principle. So, from biological strategy, what is it doing? To a biological mechanism, how is it doing this? To the abstracted design principle, which is a principle in generic terms. So, here we can also see different scales for design principles. We have different levels, such as form, processes, or systems. We have interpretation as literal or metaphorical. We also have different size scales from nano to macro. And we have got the application terms, whether they are generic or specific. So, once you have found a natural model, an organism, or an ecosystem that has a strategy that you're interested in, it will almost definitely be described in biological terms. This step is also a translation step, in that you are translating the biology into a design. In biomimicry, we call this abstracting the design principle. When we abstract a principle from biology, it may be applied in many different designs in many different fields. We usually abstract the principle from biology and translate it into design language so that it is useful for a designer. We then call this the design principle. Then we can proceed to create designs. Usually, the design process looks like this. First, we have an abstracted design principle. Then, we design an idea, and then we can take a look at the final product. So, the abstracted design principle is the idea that can be emulated in design. Diagrams are very useful to visually represent design principles. This image shows the design principle of the mechanism of the function of tuberculosis. Then, the design idea is the specific application of the design principle. In this case, it is the application of the design principle of tubercles to a wind turbine blade. Other design ideas could be the application to aeroplane wings, etc. The final biomimicry product is the design idea as tested and proved in a product for a specific application. Here is an image of a whale power wind turbine that has been tested and proved as a final product. So, using the abstract design principle as a basis, brainstorm some ideas for your design solution. Numerous models and abstracted design principles can be integrated into your design. Keep in mind the distilled function and context of your challenge. Then, evaluate. Does it adapt to changing conditions? The final product adapts to changing conditions. Can be locally attuned and responsive? Can it be life-friendly chemistry? Is it resource efficient on materials and energy? Does it have integrate development with growth? Has it evolved to survive in the context? So, as for any design processes, you will have an evaluation step. In biomimicry design processes, the evaluation phase adds life's principles as an evaluation tool. Biomimicry evaluating is essentially ensuring you've designed with the larger Earth context and systems thinking in mind. It is a check to ensure that your design passes a sustainability and resilience test, as well as a check for missed limits and opportunities. The Biomimicry Life Principles Checklist is not designed as a yes-no kind of tool, but rather encourages you to ask questions around each. How well If at all, does your design execute the function? If your design does not match a principle well or at all, this needs to be addressed by reconsidering this again in the creating phase. So, are you curious? Do you want to take your biomimicry learning journey further? Start now with 3 online short courses, then take the next step and apply biomimicry to your personal context with the biomimicry practitioner and educator program, right? So, thank you very much. Learnbiomimicry.com. Even though this article is from the year 2021 and we're at 25, these principles are still useful in any context. Why? Because they follow life principles, and life principles are universal in this universe. So, this being said, I've really enjoyed very much reading the brief overview of the core elements and practices of biomimicry. In fact, I used to study engineering, and engineering is always commonly related with designers. So I know this knowledge is really useful and practical and efficient. So I encourage you to keep learning about biomimicry because it's getting inspiration from the best designer. So thank you very much for having watched this video. I hope you enjoy it. Feel free to make any improvement suggestion and take care. Thank you very much.